the title for you, the last panel of the day, before we have the reception at the end of the conference. The panel is called Personalized Content Recommendations on Smart TV and is moderated by Jocelyn from Datexis. And I'd like to welcome Jocelyn and the panelists. Thank you very much. Please.
Hi, everyone. For the last discussion of the day, we are going to be talking about the personalized content recommendation on smart TVs. How can content providers work to bring the right content to the right audience? Why is it such a highly topical subject, as global audiences never had so much content available and in the meantime sometimes struggle to find the content they want? And eventually, where is this going? What innovations can we expect in the content recommendations area? Now, to discuss all of this with me, I've got Nicole Fur, who is the product manager for global UX and usability at ZDF Mediatek, as well as Peter Malatinsky, who is the digital media director at TV2 Hungary. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
I want to start by asking Nicole and Peter to tell us more about their respective companies and also to tell us more about their strategies regarding content recommendation. Perhaps, Nicole, to begin with, can you explain what is ZDF Mediatek to ZDF and tell us more about your content recommendation strategy?
Yes, I would like to. So ZDF is a public TV broadcaster, and we started the digital product ZDF Mediatek many years ago, actually as a catch-up platform. That's where we started. We provide live streaming online, but we also provide a vast spectrum of VOD content digitally. Meanwhile, the Mediatek has become more and more important, and we also distribute it across many platforms. You can receive us on a website, but also on native smartphone and tablet applications, as well as web-based TV and native TV applications. And we are in the middle of the process of shifting our product more and more towards a streaming platform and service, which is a very interesting journey and recommendation of content and discoverability of content, and are of course crucial features for that. And because we come from a public background and we do have a public service remit, we also try to treat algorithms from that perspective that are deduced from that remit.
And over to you, Peter. How is the content recommendation strategy at TV2 Hungary?
Content recommendation strategy, and what we can see that in our case, mainly the freshest content are the one which is working well. So, I'm not really joined TV2 a long time ago. It was 3.5 years when I joined TV2, and back then already we saw that content can be interesting for a person for 2 days, 1 or 2 days, and now I can say that it decreased to 1. So when something happened in TV, like they had a fight or something like that, it can be interesting for 1 day, it can go viral, but on the second day nobody's interested in that. So from TV2 perspective, I can say that when it comes to content recommendation, we are really focusing on the short forms and the most recent content of what we are receiving from linear, and we are putting a lot of editorial work into it. So we are cutting into many different pieces, a full episode of a show, a full episode of a reality, a game show, and as mentioned, we are basically focusing on the short forms.
Right. When we think about content recommendation, as you said, we think about a lot algorithms that push content the user is likely to like. But that also includes the content that the platform wants to promote. So in terms of viewer experience, how do you find the right balance between those two different aspects, recommended content and curated editorial choices? Peter?
Yeah, sure. In our case as well, it's a mixture. We are using our own recommendation engine based on algorithm, as you just mentioned. And meanwhile, the editors have their own choice to make recommendation on the platform. It basically works in a way that certain ribbons are 100% managed by the editors. And based on what I just mentioned, we know that which are the most recent shows of ours, which are the freshest videos. So they are usually putting these videos there. And we have certain ribbons, which are 100% managed by the recommendation engine. Also on the video end page. So when you are watching a video, everything else what is recommended later on, like there's a ribbon under the video player, again, it's managed by the recommendation engine, or when the video ended on the video player, we are also recommending additional content. Again, it's 100% managed by the reco engine, and when you are getting to the dashboard, or when you are getting to the show page, it's there where you can see the let's say, the suggestion of the editors.
Nicole, is it any different at ZDF Mediatek, and is there a visual difference as well?
Well, there are some similarities, but we also do use different systems. So we are closely collaborating with UX product development, editorial staff, and the recommendation team. And just to give a few examples, if we do have an event or breaking news situation, all of our content is strictly handled by our editorial staff. But we have different use cases, for example, on the main stage component on our homepage, where we use a mixed approach. So we do have partially curated content by the main editors, but then we mix it with with segmented-based algorithms or with individualized algorithms to offer additional content on our primary position. But of course, also, as Peter already said, we have parts of the website where we are solely working with algorithms. Sometimes not only with recommending systems, sometimes it's also just simple automation logics, like finding the next video of a series, finding the next episode is something, an example for that.
Right. So something that is quite interesting is that you want the viewers to have content they might be interested in, but in the meantime, you also want them to discover new things. And that is the topic of serendipity, the fact of being able to discover new content. But there's also a risk factor. So is that an important topic for you, Nicole?
Yeah, it's a very important topic for us. Serendipity is also one of the metrics we agreed on in order to make a deduction from the public service remit. So we have serendipity, novelty, coverage, and diversity as our core metrics. We try to push beyond click-through rates and watch time. And yeah, we do a lot of things in order to bring people in contact with content they would usually not discover because it's not within their main topic of interest. Also, for example, in the stage module that I mentioned before, we use this kind of system for people we have a history about. So we actively present content to them which they normally wouldn't look for. And then if there's an interaction happening, our serendipity metric goes up. And this also has another benefit for us because on those positions where our content recommendation team integrates those things, we can on one day display more than hundreds of contents per teaser position. And this is of course something which you could not sustain with an editorial staff every day to show such a broad variety of content.
Peter, what is your perspective on serendipity?
Like to
to show users content they're not particularly interested in, like to surprise them.
Well, in our case, we are mainly focusing on based on the data, what most probably will be interesting for them. And the reason, because time to time we're giving it a try to show the depth of our content proposition. When, I don't know, days coming like Christmas, Valentine's Day, etc., to put some editorial work and provide content related to that day, which were not that popular prior to that, and we have really a huge content base. But what we saw at the end, that we couldn't really make additional traffic by that. So to be honest, we are not really focusing on that any longer. Of course, based on the UX, we were trying to create a platform where you can really see all the content. You can find the shows really easily. You can go through the content proposition quickly and in a user-friendly way. But upon that, we are, as mentioned, mainly focusing on what is the freshest content, and when it comes to recommendation engine or algorithm, what is the what has the best fit with the specific user.
Right. So, Nicole, you mentioned that CDF Mediatek was available through your website, through native apps. How do you get consistent content recommendation and user experience across all over this CDF ecosystem?
It's challenging, especially with the user experience and design parts for so many different platforms. We started also using certain tools like building up a design system and working strongly with components and use cases in order to provide a catalog of functionalities and user interface elements that help us to be flexible enough to be able to react to the needs and pain points we discover on those platforms, but also to keep an overall brand experience and make things recognizable and increase usability across all the platforms. I think regarding the content recommendation and also content distribution, the framework I mentioned before helps us a lot. So we do have a framework that is beyond the platforms, that's for the brand and our remit itself relevant. And then I think a third ingredient that helps us a lot is the way we plan and collaborate with each other. So we have dedicated platform teams. They are the experts for each platform. But we do organize teams like user experience, but also personalization and automation. We organize them globally. So we have a mix of those different operating teams. They collaborate with each other, and that helps us to align all of our roadmaps and things we want to introduce in 1 year. And this helps keep things together.
Speaking of collaboration, Peter, what's interesting at TV2 is that you collaborate with actors such as operators to share metadata and then to enhance the viewer's journey, not inside your ecosystem, but from linear to OTT. What are the benefits of this strategy for you?
For us, the benefit is that it can generate additional traffic toward our TV application. So, for example, if someone is, watching Turkish series in one of the linear channels, and we also have some Turkish series in our in TV2 Play in our VOD platform, then within the VOD platform of the operator, there will be a recommendation, and when they are clicking on it, then they are redirected to our TV app, and they will watch the content on our TV application. So that's the advantage, that we can gain more viewing, we can have more users within our application, and I guess also for the user, it's a great experience that not only the metadata regarding his or her VOD consumption is used, but also the metadata regarding what he or she is watching on the linear channels.
That's really interesting to see how collaboration can be multiple in content recommendation. Content recommendation goes hand in hand with metadata, as you said. But Nicole, as a public broadcaster, I think you have extra challenges about data collection and about the law. Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, as a public TV broadcaster, we have challenges from, which I try to explain from different angles. So first off, for us, it's not the goal to only push watch time and things like that. We try to balance our goals and metrics that we measure also according to the way we present a certain coverage of content. We want to present all content. We also have the goal to help niche content, which is maybe not so popular if you watch on only click-through rates or watch time. We want to bring that up and display it because it has its meaning and its value as well. So those are challenges in the way we are looking at our performance data. And when it comes to audience data or user data, we do have challenges as well. We are publicly funded by our users and non-users. So therefore, we offer everything without the need to sign up. We do not hide content between a login. And we also try to offer a very good user experience and recommended services without collecting lots of user data. In certain areas, we can do that, and it's possible. And we constantly ask us, can we really offer a benefit to someone that justifies collecting personal additional data? If the answer is no, then we don't even try and pursue it. We try to solve things with different approaches. We can do a lot with logic and algorithms, which are only based on metadata from our content. Or we can work with segments, so we don't need to look on an individual data level, but we can recognize that someone behaves like other people, which we know, so we try to offer things that might interest those groups. And yeah, the metadata of our content was actually also a very big pain point for us, because it's not only enough to have good content and to have a knowledge about your target group and your audience. You also need to prepare the content you want to display in order that systems and machines and algorithms can understand it and really match it with the needs and interests of people. And this is something where we focus a lot on optimizing the quality of our metadata, and also make it more adaptable for streaming service than linear broadcasting experiences, which are also two models which have less in common than one might think at the first glance.
Right. Peter, you are working as a commercial broadcaster, so you don't have this issue, but what are the main challenges that your recommendation teams face in 2023?
The main challenge, always a big part of our traffic was coming from other portals whenever they embedded our videos. But still today, it's really hectic, although time to time it's more than 50% of the traffic. 2 days later, it can be 10%. So for this year, our main goal was to make it a continuous source of traffic and to do it in a profitable way, because of course it's easy to pay a certain certain amount on a monthly basis for these news portals, but at the end of the day, usually you pay more than what you can gain from the advertisements by the additional traffic. So we are trying to make barter agreements and having our own books on other news portals, and we are managing the content from our CMS via RSS feed. And whether it's a tabloid-based news portal, and in this case we are giving them the exclusivity that we are letting them know upfront if something will happen in one of our shows, or if we have a live event, we are letting them know immediately via chat that something happened. And on the other side, we are receiving the chance to have our own recommendation box on their news portal. We are doing the same with the sport-related portal, and I can say that already that we launched it like a month ago, and we have 10 times as much traffic on the sport videos what we are having just by having our own dedicated box on the sport website. So back to the initial question for this year, when it comes to content recommendation, this is our main goal, to make the traffic source coming from other news portals a continuous source for us, and not just on praying that okay they will embed or they will write about our video, but to make sure that we are there on a daily basis.
Right. I think we'll all agree on the fact that the streaming ecosystem is increasingly fragmented. Like, consumers have so many different services to choose from, and even once they subscribe to a service, they sometimes or often don't know what to watch. Do you think that in the long run, content recommendation, curated hubs, and UX will become a key selling point, something that viewers will crave as content, for instance? Peter?
I think always content will be the one which makes the big difference between the platforms. Of course, recommendation is important to do it in the right way and really offer those contents to the users in which they are really interested in. Of course, the UX is also making a difference, but me personally, I think that just like now, even in the future, the content is what will make a difference between the platforms.
Nicole, do you agree on this?
Well, I mean, in the context of a content platform, of course, good content is absolutely key. But good content can mean different things to different people. So I'm totally convinced that not only good usability and user experience, but also recommending systems which help you discover content is a crucial part. And if it's done well, I think it's something that also can increase loyalty to a platform to a certain amount. And if it's done in a poor way, I think it also can rather turn people away again. But I think recommending the right piece of content and providing enough information and relevant information in the user interface so people can also recognize, so hey, this could be something for me. This is something I'm looking for. It's the right genre, it's the right mood. It's I do get an idea about what this content might be about quickly. This is something where UX and algorithms also go hand in hand. And if you then are also able to maybe transparently communicate why I recommend certain things, what kind of data did I use underneath to make a decision that this might be interesting for a certain person, and if I have also a transparency or an openness to user feedback where they can also tell me like, no, I'm not interested in that, I don't want that. And then I give in the user interface a feedback that I listened and understand. I think then you can create an overall user experience with which you might have a chance, because I also think that's what people nowadays expect from every platform. And we try working on this very, very hard, but we also have a long way still to go and a lot of work to do.
Still on the topic of attracting viewers, do you think that content recommendation can help content providers to drag the younger audiences? That is a very interesting target group. And Nicole, I think that was quite a goal for you at ZDF, right?
Yes, it's a goal for our platform to target and welcome especially audiences which are not tuning into linear broadcasting channels anymore. So they also provide funding for us, and we want to make a relevant offer for them. And this is the digital version we can offer to them. So we try to target these groups with content production, but also with serving a mental model that those people, but also older generations, more mature generations, formed of how a digital platform which provides content should work. So this is something we try to target, and but I think beyond the question of age, we try to work with algorithms and recommendations to target every user group in a certain way. How do I mean that? I mean, even if you have a very niche interest, it doesn't matter how old you are, if you are interested in certain things, and we can recommend you stuff that contrasts this sometimes, but also maybe accompanies it. This is something that we want to do. We want to let you discover the content that we provide, but also from our content partners that we have on the platform now. And again, the work on the metadata, which we are doing, also hopefully helps us to get better promoted in searches and displayed in searches on the devices people have at home, because quite often the user journey it almost never starts on our homepage, on our product. For us, it's a very important thing to first make people aware that, hey, this is the content you are interested in. We do offer this. Actually, you can watch it on our platform for free. And this is something for younger generations, but I think for actually audiences with every age group that could benefit from those things.
Peter, what is your perspective on this?
Regarding targeting the younger generation?
Yes.
In our case, I think we are mainly relying on the algorithm of the recommendation engine. So someone is watching content which is mainly watched by the younger generation. Most probably, he or she will receive quite similar content as a recommended one. Upon that, what we are doing, if we know that a certain show is watched mainly by the younger generation, we are also creating a TikTok account to this show, and we are trying to drive traffic. And yeah, when it comes to, because for all the main shows we have Facebook and Instagram, but TikTok only for those contents, those shows for which one we know that the younger ones are watching, like Exathlon or something like that.
Right. I think we have a few minutes left. If anyone has a question, you can handle a microphone. Otherwise, we'll keep going. We were speaking about the next generation of viewers. Let's talk about the future of content recommendation and move to the crystal ball question. We often talk about AI and about machine learning, voice search as well. Nicole, what do you think will be the significant innovations in terms of content recommendation?
So my answer for us might be different than what you can read in trend studies and reports about the topic. We have already experimented with voice interfaces and of course with our product automation. Automotive is a very interesting and relevant field where we are currently trying to be represented. But I think for us it will be still mainly focusing on how can we provide diverse content, how can we push serendipity metrics, how can we make content we have accessible and discoverable for people by our algorithms, but also by self-discovery. We are working on certain things where you can explore content again in like a digital zapping mode. So depending on your niche interests for certain topics or documentary areas, you can explore what we have from ZDF and also other German broadcasters. And also what starts playing a crucial role as well. Our recommendation team started working on that. Is how much resources do we actually need to invest for the algorithms? Also, green recommendations is a topic my colleagues are working on, and they start looking into how much server capacity do we need, how much energy do we need. And they have some interesting findings on the results, but also the necessary investments you need to make. And this is not always in a balance. So we try to learn about that and become a little bit more sustainable as well in our digital work.
Peter, what do you see for the future of content recommendation regarding resources, sustainability, or what innovations can we expect from TV2?
I'm not sure if we can call it as innovation, but what you mentioned that we are having a cooperation with the operators regarding the metadata. I think that's the direction we would like to go and expand the number of cooperations, and not just with operators, but even with news portals or other VOD platforms. Of course, there are certain limitations. Like that's why the global players cannot really cooperate with each other. But for us, for TV2 at the moment, I can say that we are trying to find partners, or even a website which is selling used cars. We are already in the phase of the discussion which are the data what we can match and merge, and which is beneficial for both parties. So for TV2, regarding the content recommendation is basically to have the ability to use more data, and not just the data which is coming from the usage of our own platform, but the usage of other online platforms.
Right. For now, thank you very much for joining us today for the last panel of the day. I will now leave the floor to YouVision for the closing speech, and we can have a round of applause for our two speakers.